The iPhone Air is arguably the most exciting iPhone this year, not just because it's new, but because it feels like Apple are finally trying something different. And after using it for a week, I found plenty that I love, but there's also a few things that you really need to know before spending your money. So let's start with the obvious. The iPhone Air is ridiculously thin at just 5.6mm, and it's also light too, weighing in at just 165 grams. When you first pick it up, it almost feels unreal, but surprisingly, it's still strong, and it actually feels great in the hand. Flip it over and you're looking at a 6.5-inch 120Hz Super Retina OLED display. The resolution's 1260 by 2736, we've got HDR10, Dolby Vision, and a crazy peak brightness of 3000 nits. It just looks stunning in every condition. Up front, there's an 18-megapixel selfie camera with Apple's Square sensor, the same as the other iPhones, so you can take portrait and landscape photos without even turning the phone, a clever little detail. Now above that is a tiny cutout for the call speaker, and this is actually in fact the only speaker on the phone. Now to be honest, it's fine and it's better than I expected, but it's still just a single speaker. It doesn't get that loud, bass is very light, and if you push it to the maximum volumes, you are going to hear a little bit of distortion. Now on the back, we've got a single 48-megapixel camera in Apple's new slimmed-down module. They've clearly had to cram a lot of components in here to keep the phone this thin, but don't worry, I'm going to show you how the cameras perform shortly. But one thing to note here though is because of the protruding lens, it wobbles if you place it flat on a table. Now something that doesn't bother me, but I know some of you hate that. While we're nitpicking, again, the USB-C port isn't centered on the frame, but again, this is because of how thin the phone is. For the unboxing, we've got the package here, and I actually ordered mine from today's video sponsor, Joybuy. They offer all of the latest products from the new iPhone 17 series to even a TV or a toaster. And best of all, not only do they provide same-day or next-day delivery, they offer a 30-day free returns policy, providing it's not damaged, and this is much longer than most retailers at 14 days. Now the website is easy to use and they offer a range of payment providers, including flexible options like Klarna's Pay Later. And my iPhone Air just took a couple of minutes to order, it arrived next day and I couldn't be happier with the service, so I'm definitely going to be using them again. And of course, I've placed a link down in the description below, so you can go ahead and check out their iPhones or any other products now. Now back to the unboxing, and the box itself is minimal as always. I actually expected it to be a little bit slimmer, but inside we've got the iPhone Air right on top, we've got a braided USB-C cable and then the usual documentation. Of course, there's no SIM removal tool here though, since the iPhone Air is eSIM only in every region. Now performance is where things get a little bit complicated. On paper, the iPhone Air looks amazing. It's running Apple's brand new A19 Pro chip, the same silicon that you're going to find in the Pro models, but the reality is that when you pack a chip this powerful into a body that's only 5.6mm thin, thermals become a real challenge. Now in my testing, the best loop score I got on 3D Mark's Wildlife Extreme was 4158. To put that into context, my iPhone 17 Pro hit 5123, and even last year's 16 Pro Max with the A18 Pro scored higher at 4365. And that was simply on the first run before the phone really starts to heat up. After a couple of minutes, the Air drops down to just 3000, and the longer you push it, the further it falls. Now on the surface, those numbers sound disappointing, and if you're a gamer or someone who does long, sustained workloads, then yeah, it really is going to matter. You'll notice throttling and performance isn't going to match the Pro models, but here's the thing, in normal day-to-day use, the Air still feels incredibly fast. Scrolling through apps, taking photos, browsing, or even editing the odd video, it's smooth and snappy, and you won't notice these drops. So in reality, it depends on who you are. If you're gaming a lot or pushing your phone hard, then the Air isn't going to be the best choice. But if you just want a super slim iPhone that handles everything and does what the average person wants to do without breaking a sweat, then the thermal throttling honestly is not going to be a problem. Now personally, I think Apple should have just put the regular A19 here instead of the Pro, because the Air simply can't sustain the Pro's power anyway, but for most people, it's not going to be holding you back. Now battery life is of course also another trade-off, and this is one area where my experience as a reviewer might sound a bit harsher than what most people actually see. The iPhone Air only has a 3149 mAh cell. There's just not much space inside a body this thin. In my testing, it drained pretty quickly, but bear in mind I was really pushing it. There's lots of screen on time, I've got video recording for camera testing, running all these benchmarks, and just one 20-loop wildlife test alone cost me 10% of battery. Now that sounds bad, but here's the important part. Under typical day-to-day use, I think most people are going to get through the full day without any trouble. Browsing, social media, messaging, taking the odd photo or video, I think it's going to hold up just fine. It's only if you're a heavy user, like gaming for hours on end or shooting lots of video, that you're going to run it down faster than you'd like. And of course, Apple also gives you 20-watt MagSafe and Qi 2 wireless charging, plus you've also got the option of their magnetic battery pack. But let's be honest, if you're going to be relying on the battery pack all of the time, you might be better off with a thicker iPhone. Now let's talk cameras, and on the front we've got that 18 megapixel square sensor. It's brilliant for framing, you can take both portrait and landscape selfies, and it works great with center stage in video calls. If someone joins the shot, it pans out. If they leave, it refocuses back on you. And overall, selfies look just as good as on the iPhone 17 or the 17 Pro. On the back, the single 48 megapixel camera is the same sensor as on the Pro models, with a slightly faster aperture of f1.6 compared to f1.78 on the Pro. Straight out of the box, point and shoot photos look excellent. There's sharp detail, natural colors, and great dynamic range. You don't get multiple lenses, so portrait shots lack the depth info from the telephoto, but Apple software does a solid job in making up for this. Now occasionally it misses some of the fine edges in the more difficult scenarios, but it's more than good enough for most people, just not as good as the Pros. Now video is excellent too. Stabilization isn't quite as strong as in the Pro models, and you don't get the Pro features like log, ProRes or ProRes RAW, but if you don't use those anyway, then it doesn't matter. For day-to-day video, the Air still delivers the classic iPhone quality that you'd expect. So this is a selfie camera from the iPhone Air. We're in the portrait mode. Just do a slow pan. Obviously you can't change between portrait and landscape while you're filming because that would change the whole video. You just do a jog forward so you can see the stabilization. It's a sunny day, but there's still a lot of wind coming at me as well, so it'll be interesting to see how the microphone deals with that. But that's the quality from the selfie camera in portrait. Now again, we're on the selfie camera, but this time in landscape mode, and this gives you a good video capture because it keeps you looking at the center of the frame. Again, we'll do a slow pan. It's important to note that I've also got HDR turned off, and the only reason for that is I don't want to put it into the computer and then have to add conversion LUTs and kind of change what actually came out the camera. If you do a jog forward so you can see the stabilization. And that's a video in landscape from the selfie camera. Now we've got the video from the primary camera, a bit of traffic and a bit of wind, so we'll see how the phone deals with that. Just slowly walking forward, and all these videos are 4K, 60 frames a second. I'm just going to do a slow pan. A quick pan back. Now I'm going to jog forward. So it won't be as good as the stabilization on the Pro, but hopefully it'll still be pretty good. And because we've got the single lens, when it comes to zoom, we've got the choice 1x or 2x. So that's 1x zoom, and that's 2x zoom. Now durability is actually one of the biggest surprises here. For something this thin, the iPhone Air feels impressively solid in the hand, and it doesn't feel fragile at all. Now scratches are where things get a little bit tricky. From what I've seen, the dark colors in the lineup seem to pick up marks much more easily, while the lighter finishes hold up a little bit better. To give you an example, my iPhone 17 Pro Max, which I've really babied during filming, picked up a visible scratch while I was shooting my footage, and I wasn't doing anything rough with it. It never came into contact with anything sharp or abrasive, yet somehow I still got this mark in the bottom left. Now that honestly shocked me because I'm always careful with my phones. My 16 Pro Max has never been in a case and it doesn't have a single mark on it. But by contrast, the iPhone Air has been through the same kind of handling over the past week, and so far it's still pristine. There's no scratches at all, and as I said, it's surprising given how thin and lightweight this is, but as others have advised, that's probably down to me using the lighter color this time round. But either way, it's holding up much better than my 17 Pro Max did under the same conditions. Now price-wise, it's coming in at $999, which honestly feels very fair given the engineering behind it, especially considering Apple's challenges with tariffs lately. So where does this leave you? Now the iPhone Air is a tough one to sum up. On the one hand, it's gorgeous, it's slim, it's light, and it's genuinely impressive to hold. It's a bit of engineering that really feels different from the rest of the lineup. On the other hand, you do have to accept some compromises like thermal throttling under heavy loads, a smaller battery, and no multi-lens camera system. But here's the key point: for an average user, someone who's browsing, messaging, taking photos, and watching some media, the Air still performs brilliantly. It's fast, smooth, and handles day-to-day tasks with no problem at all. And the thermal limits and smaller battery only really become an issue if you're gaming heavily, recording a lot of video, or just glued to your phone all day. So at the end of the day, I think my verdict is if you're a gamer or power user, then it's the Pro or the Pro Max, as it's a much better fit. If you love the slim design but battery life is your top priority, then maybe the standard iPhone 17 could be a safer bet. But if you just want the thinnest, most portable iPhone that Apple has ever made, and you're okay with those trade-offs, then the Air is still an excellent choice, and it's going to last you the day under more normal usage. Now, as I said, I ordered mine from Joybuy, who are the sponsors of this video, and the process was super smooth with next day delivery. So again, I'll leave a link down in the description below so you can go ahead and check them out. But that's it for my thoughts on the new iPhone Air. If there's anything I've missed or you've got any questions at all, then just drop them in the comments and I'll get back to you as soon as I can. But thanks for watching the video, and don't forget to subscribe to stay up to date with the latest tech.